Welcome to the Cooper Show. Finally, we are here. Hey man, Mr. T, can you believe it's been such a long ride?
It's been a long time, Mr. Cooper. I'm glad that we finally did it. I think it's going to benefit a lot of people, and I believe let's seize the day.
Man, I was nervous. I couldn't sleep last night. I think I was up at 3 o'clock. I'm like, holy moly, what have I gotten myself into? But I'm looking forward to this, man. What do you think people should look forward to?
I think people should look for growth in this podcast. We're going to touch on a lot of topics: entertainment law, like you previously said, sports law. We'll look into government. We'll look into different career paths. I'm very excited. I think we're honored by the guest for today, our very first guest. It's going to be a banger, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think we're making history, man. I think we're making history. Anyway, we're not alone. We are with one of the most educated advocates I've ever come across. Very, very highly educated, very grounded as well. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you Advocate Zanele. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Are you feeling nervous?
I am, but like you said, I'm quite excited. I feel very honored, if I could put it that way, to be the first guest for the show. So that's quite interesting. I'm excited. Let's.
I must say, man, I was going through your profile.
Yes.
I thought I was educated, Mr. T. That's until I went through her profile.
Yes.
She's like literally very educated. And I couldn't, I'm like, we need to go to school. We need to go back. We need to pack our certificates and degrees.
No.
I don't know. It's like your profile is very intimidating.
No, not at all. I mean, I did do some courses, right? I guess you can't just be an advocate without having.
I guess.
I've went to the academic route, but I think all of us in here are very educated, especially on the law side, and I'm quite excited about the next topics going forward: sports law, entertainment law, energy law, which I think also is quite pressing. So it's exciting.
It's super exciting. It's going to be a fundamentally exciting journey. And I think, honestly speaking, when I looked into some of the work you've done, some of the papers you wrote, I was inspired. And I think it's just like diving into some of the work you did is going to be exciting, and it's going to be very knowledgeable. And I'm sure people are going to be looking forward to hear what you have to tell them.
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so. But anyway, Advocate Zanele Heinermann, what do you want to tell people about you? What's the one thing that people should know about you, which is basically something that introduces them to you? I'll say my first impression of you, I thought you had a good smile.
Yes.
So I found that to be very welcoming.
Okay.
But what's the one thing you think people should know about you?
Yeah, thank you for saying I have a good smile. I think I smile also when I'm quite nervous. But what should people know about me? Apart from the fact that I love law, and that's, I guess, why I'm an advocate. I have 2 beautiful girls, very little, 2 and 6.
Oh, wow. Still very young.
Yeah, very young. They take a lot of my time, but good time. Like I said, I also love the law. So I always try to balance the two.
Right.
I love balancing the two. It's not as easy as one would think. But Zanelle is a girl from Durban, moved to Joburg. Got excited with everything that happens in Joburg and still is happening, I guess. And just wants to make a difference, but mostly for my kids, and then a ripple effect from that.
Love that.
Yes.
And how did you find the move? I remember moving from Free State to Gauteng. Scary stuff, man.
Yes.
I think it took me a bit of time to settle because everything was just too fast.
Yes.
And everyone is chasing something and people are moving. It was just crazy, and it took a lot of adaptability for me to get to where I am today. So how did you find the move?
It was a tricky one. I was 18, turning 19, and I got an offer from MTN at that time.
Right.
And I had to move all by myself. I remember I was the day of the move, driving from Durban to here, Joburg. I was wearing a very a dress with like a sling. And my mom looked at me and she said, "Oh, you look so skinny." And I said, "Yeah, because I'm so stressed. I'm going to just live by myself. I have an apartment. I don't know what should I do with that apartment."
Right.
But I was quite excited as well.
Right.
So yeah, it was a life-changing moment. A lot of learnings, but exciting. Then I had my own freedom, you know. I had my own apartment. Literally, I walked to work. It was very close to MTN Innovation in Finland. Yeah, it was nice.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of Durban, what would you say your upbringing contributed in shaping who you became today?
Yeah. Yeah, so I come from Entunjambil, very rural area in KZN. My dad comes from there, and obviously my mom as well. And then we moved to Durban. Nice, you know how it is. Have you been to Durban?
Yeah, a lot of times. I'm sure everybody has been to
Yeah,
Durban.
it's beautiful. The weather is always incredible. Winters are warm.
Yeah.
Growing up was quite nice actually, but also very challenging, if I put it that way. There was 5 of us, and my dad passed away quite early. So my mom had to be the single mom to raise 5 children. But I think she did an incredible job.
I think so too.
And looking at my siblings.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And looking at you.
I guess also me, I guess.
Yeah, I think it speaks to what that. So would you say your mom is like your greatest inspiration?
Yeah, of course. I mean, because my dad passed on quite early, I think I was in grade 1, if I remember that correctly. That moment was very tough. She's always instilled that, well, my nickname is Nene, so I probably will.
Hey, Nene.
Yeah, Nene. should look at me and say, "Nene, the only thing you can do for yourself." I guess that's why education is education. No one can take that away from you.
Man.
So as much as you can, just educate yourself. Nene, just educate yourself. And that's where for her.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. What's your mom's name?
Bongegile.
Oh, shout out to Bongegile, man. Yeah. Shout out to Mama, man. She raised a wonderful woman.
Thank you.
Yeah. And when you relax, because I think you are an advocate, which typically involves a lot of work. Sometimes there isn't really such a thing as a weekend.
Yeah.
So how does your weekend typically look like?
Yeah. Sometimes it still incorporates work, but most of the times, if I have managed to do everything, it's mostly with my family. So my husband and my 2 girls. And then it's very simple. Most of the time we have this cafe we're close to where we live, and they have these nice croissants. So my 2-year-old will say, I want a pappuccino, you know? So when she wakes up, she knows it's Wochenende. Wochenende is like weekend in German. And she's like, it's Wochenende. I want pappuccino.
Oh, yes.
So we would go there, and then we'll have breakfast, obviously, or brunch if it is.
Yeah.
And then on Sundays, I still try to go to the gym. I love the gym. It's a way of me like de-stressing and focusing on myself. The gym, and then because again the girls are there, we'll look for a restaurant, you know, where they have like jungle gyms and stuff like that. That's mostly the weekend, and then prepping for the week ahead.
Love it. And typically, how does your weekday look like?
Nice and hectic. Yeah, it depends. So in between being an advocate, so if I have matters that would go to court, it will be very determined on that, like how do I prep for that? But you don't have court every week. Maybe some advocates do, but I don't. Maybe I would have one hearing, but most cases I would have arbitrations, and that's prepping for that. I would have mediations, which would take the whole day. I would prep for that. And in between then it's like drafting chamber work, which I also quite enjoy, the drafting part of it in chambers. And then in between, which I'm fortunate, I think I'm privileged to have my husband. He picks up the kids because he's quite flexible.
Yes.
So he does the school pickups, and then later, I guess it's home time.
Love it. Do you cook?
Yeah.
I thought you must know, man.
Yeah, I could tell you a story of me cooking. My mom says like when my husband did a lot, I told the story like, just be careful with
the cooking.
You know, she stands by the door while talking to her friends outside and throws the potato and throws the chicken and puts the water and leaves it there. Look, I like cooking. It's just that I don't think I'm good at it as I would like. But
but I'm sure your husband enjoys. So
yeah, he has no choice, right?
Love that. Mr. T, there's something you want to put to our guest, man?
Yes, Advocate Zanele.
Yes.
In your line of work, you often see disputes rooted in money, power, and relationships.
Yes.
Right? What do you think of the principles of Ubuntu and its place in our justice system? And what has your experience in the profession taught you about human nature?
Yes. Well, thank you for that question. I think because you have Ubuntu there, the Constitution also has elements of Ubuntu in them, but also just the readings of Steve Biko, which I enjoyed quite a lot during university. And I don't know if you know Joel Maridi, who wrote a paper on critical race theory. And it boils down again to that idea of, as individuals or people, what connects us or what centers us, right? And the whole idea of fighting, whether it's fighting for money, as you said, whether it's fighting in principle, it should not be the grasp or the core of what we are, but rather should be an example that conflicts happen. It's just how do you resolve that conflict that will maintain that relationship. So in my career, and I did mention earlier that I do arbitrations and mediations. On my last year at FITS, I did a course, dispute resolution, and it has to do with obviously mediations and arbitrations. And I realized, geez, there's another way of resolving conflict apart from going to court only, right? So when people fight about money or when people fight about unfortunately, family issues, they don't need to actually go to court. You can go to mediation where your interests, because it's your issue, it's your matter, gets to be really understood and heard, so that whatever settlement or whatever agreement to try and resolve that conflict, it reflects you, because you have to ultimately live that, right? So going back to that, like those mechanisms for me of trying to resolve whatever conflict, or even not even resolve it or avoid it from happening, centers us back to being like humanity. Yes, so saying the principles of Ubuntu, the principles of building relationships, or the principles rather of sustaining relationships, right? So true. And that is, again, stems with respect. You wouldn't, be greedy if you respect the other person. You'd also want to know, really, why did they do that? Or how could I help them, instead of saying, how could I get an upper hand against them? But that's. I hope I answered you right. But
I just want to say on that, I've never had anyone define the importance and role of alternative dispute resolution like that. Because a lot of people, it's always about, it's a cheaper, quicker way of, coming to a resolution. But I think that was just so profound how you looked at it, especially from the natural element that as human beings, conflict is part of our daily lives. Yes. And the essence of us living is not that we shouldn't be in conflict. It's that we must find a mechanism that's so absolutely. Yes. I think that's profound.
Yeah.
I'll hand back to you.
All right. So, I'm still really hung onto what you said, because I thought it was just so profound, man.
Yes.
And I think I'm touched because you spoke about Steve Biko. He's one of the people that I have read up on a lot, and one of the people that I actually look up to.
Yeah.
So Biko lives, guys.
Yes.
So,
completely. I mean, Black consciousness, I guess it's also not a concept of just Black people. I think people should understand that it's a concept of awareness of who you are as a person, what can you contribute, and what opportunities are out there for you.
Consciousness of being.
Yes.
Consciousness of being.
Yes.
I noticed that you are well, you hold an LLB degree from Wits, you hold a BCom law degree from UNISA,
Yes.
but you also hold a certificate in business strategies from Harvard. Harvard, man.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. How does that happen?
It was, I mean, how does that happen? Because it's they offer that. It's sustainable business strategies. Yes, correct.
Yes.
It was good. I mean, it was very nice actually how they structured that course. The whole reason why I did it is because of my passion in renewable energy. My passion is in sustainable solutions. ESG is like a topic that's thrown around everywhere. But I think it's quite important. I think going forward, we're not attaching it to like climate change or anything like that. Ultimately, just living the right way in harmony with the environment around us and trying to heal the issues that we've done. That course kind of like from a perspective of big entities. They had CEOs from Nike, CEOs from your big what is this tea brand? I completely forget the name now. But the whole idea is that in your whole supply chain or value chain of your entity, what are you doing that is in harmony or sustainable in terms of environmental inclusivity, diversity, and everything else? How do you help an entity look at whether it's labor, whether it's corporate alignment with other entities? How do you help, bring in ESG, environmental and governance awareness into your whole value chain, not just like an element of maybe we just only want to do energy efficiency for our building. No, there's more to that. But yes.
Yeah, you seem to be a dynamic lawyer. I think for an advocate, you seem to, I love the fact that you've tapped into so many other aspects of, sciences, energy, law, and also BCom, which gives you a commercial background somewhat.
Yes.
So if I had to look at all the work you've produced, what would you say encapsulates what your mission statement would be?
Yeah, like you summed it nice. Business, energy, and the law. Like that's just me. Like, yeah, business, energy, and the law. That together makes what I love and enjoy. I don't know if I answered you correctly.
You do. I just want to ask you because I think it's not quite a typical route you took for a female lawyer.
Yeah.
Hailing all the way from KZN to find yourself doing energy law. What would have inspired that move?
Yeah, so before I was at MTN, like I said before, and my last role there was with MTN Business, where we looked at key accounts, and I was a solutions architect there. So, network issues, not really network issues, but trying to design issue-related devices for your key accounts, or like your ministers, your big dealers, and all of those kind of really important clients. And then I realized most of the time, if not all the time, my boss will only say, you know what, there's an issue with the contract. I know Zanele can sort it out, right? Yeah. But I didn't have the qualifications then to try and resolve conflict, right? But I found like this immense amount of gratification after I've sorted out that issue, right? When the client was so upset and they were like throwing their toys of like, I'm going to cancel, right? And I would try and retain the relationship. And that's when I thought, you know what, actually, I think I like conflict resolution, right? Yeah. And the law, which contracts. And that's why I went to do my BCom. So I resigned at MTN.
Yeah.
And I went to do my BCom law full-time. And the time when I completed my BCom law, the LPA changed that you cannot practice without a LLB. And then I did my LLB with FITS.
Yeah.
And then while I was doing my LLB with FITS, that's when also load shedding started to happen in South Africa. And then I thought, energy law sounds interesting, like sustainability sounds interesting. And then that's when I funded Libalele Energy. Libalele Energy basically at that time was a systems integrator. That was the whole idea of renewable energy, but primarily PV.
Right.
solar, which is now everywhere, and I'm glad for that. And then in between that, I realized, okay, that's business part. That's a business part. I still want to further my legal part and practice and be part of the fraternity, and hence why then I went the advocate route. And that's why now I'm part of Rivonia Group of Advocates and also part of the Johannesburg Bar.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, you know, I'm a lawyer by profession, as you would know.
I know, yes.
But I think my fundamental inspiration of discipline is science. If you go to my office, you'll see behind my chair, I have a picture of Albert Einstein.
Yes.
I have a picture of Karl Marx.
Your WhatsApp has Albert Einstein.
So you know, so
Yes.
tapping into my personal WhatsApp.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
so my fundamental view of life and philosophy is generally sciences. So I got very captivated when I noticed that you actually wrote a paper during COVID-19 on transitional energy.
Yes.
Especially because, I mean, when I read the paper, there's something that really captured my thought when you spoke about the importance post-COVID of anticipating the age of e-mobile, where we're having vehicles which now move on electricity, and a reduction of combustion into the green environment. And you spoke about a number of things, but there's a part where you say that you don't think that South Africa, as it is currently, its reliance on coal alone would be sufficient to sustain renewable energy in future.
Yes.
I'd like you to take us through that.
Yeah, that was during COVID, right? I think
Yes.
I wrote it in 2019.
Yes.
Look, there was already quite significant direction from the South African government, given the RIP 2019 of diversifying our energy sources. But like you said, majority of it is still coal. We have that base load. It's a transition. It's not like one day now we stop. It's recognizing the resources we have, but also the responsibilities we have towards the environment. And I think South Africa is doing quite well now where we are, but also there is room to grow. So yeah, that was, maybe I just go a little bit. That was during COVID. And I applied for it because I was in my last year.
Yes.
And it was a competition, actually,
to
win. If you write the best article, and then you would win from the humanities division from WITS. And then I obviously wrote that article. And I won. And I think the whole idea, thank you. The whole idea of me winning was also just from them looking at the perspective of saying, okay, there's COVID. There's this big thing that has, really impacted not only our country, but globally, everywhere. But going forward now, how do we diversify ourselves? And for me, it was electric vehicles at the time, right? Electric vehicles also potentially creating base load because we had load shedding and all these other issues. But in hindsight now, in as much as you've seen, there's a lot of electric vehicles. At that time, there wasn't quite a lot. And
especially in South Africa.
Yes, and they are very expensive. So you have to then act local, like the local application of those electric vehicles in South Africa. Who's going to buy them? Who's going to afford them, rather? Let's just put it that way. So it was a tricky one, but there was room and there was growth, right? Zanele had quite a lot of work that was done around it. But then now there's a lot... there's quite a lot of electric vehicles. We see quite a lot happening, but also hydrogen vehicles as well. The market has quite progressed, if I can put it that way.
Rapidly.
Yes, but also then now, which is my next excitement, is green hydrogen, right? That's where I'm currently at now. It still forms part of that whole ecosystem energy. Where currently I'm part of a development of green hydrogen in South Africa. And basically the project is going to produce green methanol.
Right.
As a derivative, one of the derivative, because you have ammonia or methanol, and methanol is one. Methanol is already used. There is grey methanol. Sasol currently also produces, but it's grey. So this project will use renewable energy, co-located solar and wheeled wind energy to produce the green methanol. And the solution is quite interesting because this solution actually uses wastewater, sewage sludge from wastewater treatment centers. And
so waste becomes sort of useful. So
yes. They actually call it, if I cannot say it here, but it's in partnership with a German company called FFV.
Yeah.
They do a lot of actually talking about electric vehicles. They design all the engines that you know, VW, all these big engines that you currently know. Yeah. They design those engines for them. So now they have this solution to use wastewater treatment sewage sludge rather, to produce green methanol. And I think I wanted to say what they call it, which is quite funny, put to power.
No, it's funny you should say that. I must just say this. When I was in high school, a friend of mine, shout out to Muladedi Maduna, that's his name, he actually won a science expo project. I think one of the things he was proposing as a solution was how you could use waste into energy. I'm not particularly sure whether it was for what sort of purpose, but I think it was a Sasol competition, science expo, something. He won that. I'm sure he's going to catch up on this episode.
That's amazing. Yeah, there's a lot of concepts around waste to energy.
Yeah.
Globally, and also in South Africa. Like I said, I think South Africa is doing quite well. And the first ammonia project was awarded this year. So, and they will produce ammonia on scale.
Right.
So it's really good.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mr. T, it sounds to me like we're already living in the future, man.
It does
I don't know. It seems like, I don't know, maybe I should ask this. Are we living in the last days of fuel fuel vehicles? I don't know. Yeah. And because the market increasingly is, coming up with these electric vehicles.
Yes,
I don't know what your take is on that, man.
Yeah, indeed. First of all, Advocate Zanele, what you're doing is very interesting, very interesting work. And certainly fuel, I think it's becoming a thing of the past at the moment. Everyone is looking towards electricity, everything being electric, especially in the motor industry.
Yes.
But I do want to divert and maybe take the conversation towards women in the legal profession.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that women face in the legal profession that maybe an aspiring LLB student would want to hear from you?
Yeah, before you come in, I love that you're asking that. Coincidentally, we're shooting on a Women's Month.
Yes.
So this is quite very relevant. Yes. And I think it's a very important question.
Yeah, we're summing up Women's Month here.
Yes.
Thank you for that question. Yeah. Women in energy, I think there's quite a lot of women already in the energy sector. It's just the sustainability of them having good jobs or good work, rather, to put it that way. I will talk more from where I come from, which is obviously the advocate part. For an aspiring LLB student, which I was also, and I remember I thought in my last year, I know the law, I understand the law. And then I had to go to the bar. Then I was like, I don't know the law. Right. I understand nothing about the law. Is for them to just, the whole idea is that you have chosen this subject as something that you want to do, right? Whether you love it or whether you did it for whatever other reason, you are in it. So being a woman, I would like to say, in as much as we have progressed quite a lot in society to recognize gender kind of compatibilities and say there's no gender roles, it's still quite difficult, especially because we also just hormonally go through a lot of different situations than men, but also how we are perceived in terms of our intellectual capacity, right? And that is maybe like our biases that we have as society that we have to remove. But maybe sometimes it's not as easy as one would think. So I think what I'm trying to say to that LLB student, young lady who's so passionate, and there are stats that say that LLB students that actually have higher numbers of success are women. But growing in the profession, they actually fall away and go to different other sectors.
Oh, shucks.
Which is quite sad. But it's for them, the tenacity that you're already there. And then building on that, okay, be aware of there is those biases. There is those hurdles that you have to go through. But be determined enough to not let that stop you. Because I know everyone here knows that, like, that say that if you walk on the street and every dog is barking at you, you're not going to throw a stone. You're going to just be like, you know what, I have to get moving. Somewhere. Keep moving. Yeah. So it's the same concept. Like for me, I've used that quite a lot. And you do have moments where as a woman, you want to show up for yourself, right? You want to be seen. You maybe, let's say in the LLB context, you're getting good grades, but you're not getting the right articles company, or you're not being recognized by your professor for that matter. And you feel like, oh, man, I'm nothing. Don't feel like that, because that person or that law firm doesn't recognize you right at that moment, but someone else will. Trust me, someone else will. That's just the gist of it. So I say this with saying, the profession is open enough for you to seize the opportunity, but you must also understand, I just want you to be aware that it's not going to be easy, but it's doable. So you can do it and you will do it. It's just that the dynamics are different. So like, again, I go back to the same thing. Just know that there are people that are going to say certain things about you. There are law firms that will not recognize your capabilities or even how great you are, but there are others that will. Yeah. So push towards that.
I know. I want to zoom into that, because I think it's quite a concerning topic. What are some of the biases? In fact, let me not ask you what are the biases, because we are all aware of the biases.
Yes.
But what influences people to hold these specific biases simply because someone is a woman? What do you think are some of the things that influences how we perceive women?
Yeah, I think it's obviously society, like generation, it dates back through time, right? I think us as Black women, we have even more stacked up against us. All women in the world face this situation where in boardrooms, maybe you're not listened to, you're not, your advice is not recognized as the next peer, which would be a male, right? But I think the whole idea is society has created it in that manner for the longest time, and it is changing. Like now I'm sitting here as an advocate. I don't think 100 years ago that was possible, right?
Yes.
There's scientists, like you said, that wasn't possible. But we still then fight those issues of biases, like you're saying, of people. And again, it's not that they're doing it purposely. Yeah. It's them having those unconscious bias and not trying to remove themselves or be aware when that happens, when they're triggered, right? To say, oh, why am I not listening to Zanele? Or why am I not listening to Uzama for that matter? Yeah. Maybe because I just see her as a pretty girl, but there's more to her, right? Or I just see her as a girl, but there's actually more to her. Unfortunately, that's just how society works. But I think, like I said, there's so much that has happened. I speak about the bar. There's quite a lot of women, majority women. My group, Ravonia Group of Advocates, is majority women. So you see where we're going with that. It's just acknowledge that there are those instances of bias. People should be, you can't help people to be aware of their biases, right? They need to understand.
It's a fascinating concept, Mr. T. I must say, there's a book I once read which speaks about unconscious bias. I just forgot the title. And what they say is that, you see, human beings are naturally biased. So when I'll make an example that they make in the book. If a pretty woman enters the room and if an auditorium that's full of people, people automatically assume, regardless of their gender,
Yes.
that this woman has something beneficial to say to them.
Yes.
And if another woman who's not as good looking enters the same room with the same audience, they doubt if she has something to say to them that would be beneficial.
Yes.
So, I mean, and the author I think the author is a psychologist. He just displays how unconscious bias works.
Yes.
And I think it's really a concept which is fascinating at the very least.
Very fascinating. I mean,
yeah.
I think it's a human condition to always want to see something that looks like you. For instance, I mean, if you look at the recruitment processes or the behaviors behind it, more often than not, you'd want to hire someone that looks like you as opposed to someone who's actually got the expertise.
Yes.
So it's a very, very interesting
it is
human condition.
Yeah. Even in mediation, actually, it's one of the topics. There's a Harvard course around biases, right? Because again, there's two people that come in for assistant, and maybe the other one looks like the pretty woman, or he's tall and handsome, and I like that. But I have to be aware of my biases to treat them exactly the same, to be fair, to be neutral,
but that would be
and
a conscious bias.
No, but unconsciously, I'm just saying it now because if I know.
Yeah.
But then sometimes maybe my unconscious bias is I would look at maybe a white guy would have much more to say that is much valuable than because of how we kind of conditioned, right? And then I would look at him when the other party is talking, right? So for me, it's more of like, remember your biases and be conscious of them. And then when you're triggered, try to say, okay, how do I balance the situation right now? Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yes.
Yeah, I love the perspective.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, were you done, Mr. T? I thought you had some more questions to ask.
No, happy with that. I think now what we can do is, what can we expect in future from Advocate Zanele?
Yeah. God.
Put you on the spot.
You did put me on the spot. What I would like, I actually said the project was awarded, they were funded with some grant funding for the green hydrogen project.
Yes.
It's for the current green methanol project to also obviously get to a point, because they're in bankable feasibility now, to get to a point where the bankable feasibility is done, the financial close is also done. So that would be nice. But going forward is to also then see me as the one who also partake or assist parties in resolving the conflicts from mediation and arbitrations. I mean, we work together quite a lot on those. That is obviously from a professional side. But I think from a personal side, it's just trying to be more for my girls, be there for them as much as I can, which no one will see that apart from them. So and my husband.
I think that's the beauty of
it. Yes. But just to be there more present, like, when I have cases or matters that I'm dealing with, sometimes I'm there, but I'm not there because I'm thinking, okay, how can I reword that draft? How can I do this? How can I do that? But I cannot leave what I'm doing because for me, it's like it fulfills me as a person, and then my cup is full to be a good mom for them.
Right.
But I just need to strike a balance of like, how do I do that?
I love that. I love how you share your two passions. One being, your professional passion in alternative dispute resolution, and the other being, your family and enjoying your croissants on weekend. But I do want to take a dive into, what you do on daily basis, which is alternative dispute resolution.
Yes.
You practice in the area of Gauteng. Your chambers are here in Sandton. So what I want to ask you is what affects a lot of practitioners in the Gauteng divisions, both Pretoria and Johannesburg, in respect of alternative dispute resolution. Around April 2025, the then Judge President Dustin Mlambo, now the Deputy Chief Justice. Congratulations to Justice Mlambo.
Yeah. I mean, well deserving as well.
Well deserved. I mean, if you ask me, well deserved. An outstanding leader. I've had a number of interactions with him through the organization that I serve, Nadel.
Yes.
An amazing leader.
Yes.
But he published a directive which caused controversy in April.
Yes.
And part of the basis why they explained the importance of that directive was that mediation is necessary in order to assist in decongesting the already inundated court rolls.
Yes.
But on the flip side, I mean, you could obviously argue that that is to enforce access to justice, which is a guaranteed right under Section 34.
Yes.
But on the flip side, there were arguments made by the detractors and those who disagree with the protocol and the directive.
Yes.
And the basis of their disagreement was simply the same basis that the directive is enacted for, which is access to justice.
Yes.
They are arguing that it is, refusing to grant a trial date to a litigant simply because they have not went for mediation defeats and contravenes the very right to access to justice.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have any views to that you would want to share. I'm aware it's a very controversial topic, but I'm sure you could share a view.
Yes, it is a very vested one, very, very vested one. Also, I think it's vested because it has to do with people's livelihood, and so it's very important. People have waited for years for that hearing date. They've prepared. They've obviously paid substantial amounts of money to get to that point. But what you also rightfully said is the mechanism that the courts recognize as how, with the issue that they had at hand, how do we best resolve this, right? And as much as I don't really want to get into it because I am the member of the bar, so I cannot say much views on certain topics. But I think from a general perspective, and also how the directive starts, how he outlines, like colleagues, how he said it, it was very nice how he wrote that. He said colleagues. I think the next now way of us trying to resolve this is through mediation. Yeah. And maybe people should understand that mediation is not really removed from litigation. It's a way of resolving disputes. Yeah. It's just that it's a different way of resolving it.
Well, one would argue it's a better way.
Yes, exactly. And mediation has been around South Africa for a very long time. Yes. And I think it stems also from Ubuntu. If you think about it, how traditionally, how our leaders used to resolve issues, you'd have the king, the parties, they will just listen, right, to the parties.
In fact, you don't have to go far. Just in marriages alone, how families resolve marriage disputes.
Exactly.
They'll bring two families to mediate a solution.
Yes.
I grew up in Qwaqwa in the Free State. There used to be a king. When there was a dispute in a village, they would have what they call lekgotla.
Yes.
And lekgotla translated is a court.
Yes.
And in lekgotla, people would come in and pledge their dispute or plead their disputes, and they will find the resolution. It could be a neighbor dispute or something.
Yes.
So mediation has always been part of Ubuntu and our livelihood.
Exactly. But also again, I go back to when he said colleagues, because that really made me think more. And we had a webinar yesterday regarding mediations as well. And one of the speakers also said, you know what, if we look at it, judges, he says colleagues, right? Us as legal representatives, right?
Yes.
He says colleagues, it's now time for us to look at how we resolve this. So us as legal representatives, we also have responsibilities to help judges.
Correct.
If the infrastructure is not working because it's inundated, it's clogged, and we can assist, which us being mediators to help the community at large, yes, to resolve the disputes. Why not bring us into that whole process? It's not like it's something that hasn't been happening. Mediation has been happening all the time. It's just that it's not like someone has now said it's mandatory. It looks like it's mandatory because of this whole situation. But also, again, in the protocol, he makes it quite clear that in line with Section 173 of the Constitution, that the judiciary has inherent powers, if you want to put it that way, to try and organize, and what they're doing now, how they organize their whole working situation or system, if you want to put it that way, to make sure that matters are heard and are resolved, right? And this is one of the ways that they have now seen as a way of doing it. I think in life, not everything is perfect, right? But we had a webinar with CDH, with the Deputy Judge President. I think it was in May. And he mentioned, because when it came out, that litigation that came after, and I don't want to speak on that, but I just want to say what the Judge President said in that webinar. So actually, it wasn't a webinar, it was an in-person event. And he was a keynote speaker. And he basically just outlined that his role is to try and create a filter system so that access to justice is easy for people. Right? So if you're going to wait for your trial date in the next, 5-6 years, look, by the time your money comes, is it the value of what it is? No.
Probably not.
No, right? But also so much would have happened by then. Your witnesses would have dwindled. So much would have happened. Whereas now, if you have your mediation, which in most cases they're not, and if the case is quite ready, because by the time now, if you're really up for your hearing date, you've done quite a lot of work, right, between the parties. You would have your mediation in 1 day or 2 days, or if not, right? And your matter will be settled, hopefully. And if it's not, it's not like that's the end of the road. Then you still have an option for arbitration. You still have an option to go to court with obviously the mediator's report to have your hearing date if maybe even some issues were not settled. So I say all of this in saying I'm quite excited about the whole drive. And I think change is always uncomfortable. Like, that's just the life.
Absolutely.
Change is uncomfortable, especially if, and again, with due respect, you've had your matter waiting for that trial date and it's quite close, and now this happened, right? But look at it this way. Someone is actually going to hear your matter. So a mediator is going to hear it.
Absolutely.
And trust me, from a mediator perspective, right? And if I could maybe just a little bit explain the process. The process around mediation is just letting the parties, with the legal representatives, of course, air out their interests, like what really happened and how do we resolve this, right? And like I said, in most cases they're not. It takes 1 day, and hopefully you walk out there with interests or a settlement that best serves you, because you have to live out that. It's not a court order that is like, oh, but I don't know if I have enough money to repay or whatever. Because in mediation you will say, I don't have that amount. I can actually make this amount or that amount. And then the other party will say, maybe I'm not willing to take that. I can take this. But at least there is a way of back
negotiated
and forth.
Solution.
Yes.
And I mean, sometimes court orders have the effect of making one party feel like a loser and the other feel like a winner.
And that's not, and mediation is not like win-win, right? But it is kind of, it is kind of a, okay, I don't like also calling it a win-win. There is a compromise, right? We need to meet each other somewhere. But, and again, please don't get me wrong, because I'm an advocate, right? I have a duty to the court. I'm not bashing litigation down. Litigation serves a point when there's really the facts, they're so disputed that only a court can assist that. A mediator cannot assist certain issues. And I just see it as the value chain is opened. You can have litigation, you can have arbitration, you can have mediation, but it's not just one place. That's why it was congested, I think now. That's why they're sitting at a position where like there's so many matters, because everyone wants to go to court. But there is other avenues of access to justice again. So.
I love how you put it. I mean, you mentioned the event we were in together just yesterday. there's something Advocate Rian Boyson said in that event, which I think sums up the point you are making about the importance of mediation.
Yes.
Which is that it helps you to hear two versions equally. It gives the two versions an equal attention. Whereas sometimes with litigation, what would happen is that one party is represented, the other is not. The versions which are pleaded, one is pleaded with a carefully considered legal acumen, and the other is simply pleaded from a layperson's perspective. And a full version has not really reached the judge. Now, the judge sits with these two versions. One is half-baked and the other is fully baked. And the judge thinks that, well, he will be inclined to rule for the version he understands, which is the one that's more carefully prepared.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, when the outcome is delivered, one party wins, but that may not necessarily be the right position or right solution to that matter, which re-emphasizes, the importance of mediation. And I think, I don't know, but I think I'm tempted to ask you this because why do you think there is such a hold back or a friction against this alternative dispute resolution by those who I would call fervent litigators? Do you think there's an addiction for people to feel like they've won and for to feel like others have lost? Because I think even with parties, I mean, we deal with clients.
Yes.
And when a client comes to your office, I'm sure the first thing you would say is, let's try first to negotiate a solution before we even think of going to court.
Yes.
And you would see the attitude is not about trying to talk amicably. The attitude generally is, I have to show them.
Yes.
They've got to feel me.
Yes.
I don't know, Mr. T, is that your experience?
Yes, Mr. Cooper. Sorry, can you just repeat that last one?
So I'm saying, essentially, there is this addiction. It's like when you love coffee, no offense.
Yeah.
I do love coffee.
There's generally this addiction. Caffeine, you get so addicted to caffeine that in the morning, coffee becomes your routine.
Yes.
And if you don't start with a cup, it feels like it's a completely different day.
Yes.
So there's this addiction with people who are involved in disputes where they would want to show each other. And instead of going the amicable route, they'd rather, go to court, notwithstanding the advice against that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is something that's become a culture within the courts. And I think people like Advocate Zanele do come in and sort of introduce the whole concept of Ubuntu and how we can resolve these disputes amicably in litigation.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
just to add to that, I think also what connects me and you is obviously we love negotiation and trying to resolve things out of court, right? We've always thought about it I've always thought about it that way, and I know you share the same sentiment. But also when the parties, it is that idea that is embedded. It's like, okay, now we're going to court. It's an emotional stress, right? From a party perspective. And the only thing I want to do, and I sit in their shoes, they just want to get this out of the way, right? And I want to show the other side, if that's the case. Like, I have the best counsel, or my case is solid, right? And I'm going to win. So maybe by the time you say, there is another way, for them, it's like, no, I cannot have this. It's emotional. I'm tired. I want it over, and they must feel it, kind of thing, Whereas you're like, they will feel it, and maybe they will even hear it more because it will come from you, and that's what mediation is all about, right? But look, not all matters are mediated. That also the protocol makes clear. So it's civil mediations. If you so your commercial matters, your
criminal law would not.
Yes, exactly.
That category,
So it's society shouldn't be scared of those situations. Like criminal law has to still be done, I believe, also in court.
I agree.
But
Before we run out of time, there's like a question I really have to ask you.
Okay.
Because I think it's important. I listened to a story from an American lawyer. He's an American divorce lawyer. And he says one time he was doing a case and his opponent was, a less experienced state representative or attorney, state-appointed attorney. And that attorney was representing a woman who had been abused all her life in her relationship, physically, emotionally, psychologically, and otherwise. And he was representing the perpetrator, being the abuser and all of that. And he says it was a divorce matter, which by all means necessary could have been settled. And whatever relief that the woman was seeking was entitled to. But because of lack of experience of that woman's lawyer, the state attorney, that I think there was just it was part of the procedure in terms of how you would bring evidence that's not discovered out in America. And that particular state attorney did not know that process. So he kept saying to the judge, but my lord, there is this form of evidence, or but your honor, there is this form of evidence. And the judge could not recognize it because that's not how you bring that particular type of evidence. He knew as a senior attorney that, well, the problem is that he's not bringing the evidence right. But of course, he's representing his client. And he wasn't about to help him. And he says that's the one case he regrets. He won, but he regrets doing because he did not deserve to win. So I want to ask you, what's the one case you've done, if any, or one form of, a work situation you've come across that you've done, which made you feel somewhat like that, you are getting through this, but actually you don't deserve to get through it? Is there any?
Yeah, I guess. But I don't want to say the names.
No, you can't, of course.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, let me think about what you just said. But going back to what you just said now, mediation and arbitration, that's where the difference is. The flexibility part, right? Where it's not really strict rules, like rules of the High Court. This is how you present evidence. This is only when you talk, or whatever the situation may be. It's more of like a flexible approach. So it would have been easier if the other one who was in experience, I would have taken that information with no rules situation or that evidence rather. But there are matters that I've been involved in. One was in my first year of practice. And I also not nice now. I was 6 months pregnant. bad person. And it was a very nice one actually. I was brought in as a junior in that matter. By a senior member in our group. And it had to do with cyber law. It had to do with contempt of court. And because I've been at MTN, I understand the whole server situation. And while I was going into I cannot go into the facts, right?
Of course, we don't want
but while I was in there, I realized, something is a bit tricky, funny here in terms of, I don't know how, without saying a lot, but basically we were also doing something, or my clients was doing something wrong, right? But it kind of looked like spying, but not really. And how we found out.
It's a hypothetical situation.
Yes, how we found out. So basically what I'm trying to say is that in the answering affidavit, I had to say that, right? And then I thought to myself, this is not good. We also not, how did we find out about this information?
You forgot to say it.
Yes, how did we find out about this information? But I say that to say
human beings forget.
Yes, there's confidentiality, right? So and then we won, right? Right. In our winning, the judgment also looked like something else. But with that said, mediation, arbitration, as much as it's good, I think in that case, the judge really handled the matter really, really well. And it was a case for court because it had to do a lot with spying, who didn't spy, who spied on who. So it was a very good one. And I don't know if I don't know.
I think
I just don't want to say the facts of the case. Because
and you shouldn't. I mean, I wasn't inviting that because I'm quite aware as well. I must just disclose, I teach ethics.
I teach that we have at the bar. So and it rings all the time. Like,
So,
what is your ethical duty?
Yeah. So whenever I teach my students ethics, I would tell them that one of the ethical duties that a practitioner has is to disclose all the facts, even if they don't favor them. And having this conversation with you, it just reminds me of that. So I will be going back when they are preparing for board exams.
Exactly.
And I will be teaching them again, guys, it's important to just disclose
everything.
The
Yes.
Yeah,
but that's maybe just a little bit, that is the distinction, right?
Yeah.
So in court, everything should be disclosed and open to public, right?
Absolutely.
Whereas in arbitrations and mediation, very confidential. So if you ever want certain information, not to be disclosed.
Yes.
To the outer public.
Yes.
Those are routes that you could go.
In terms of yes. I mean, with alternative dispute resolution, a completely different setup.
Yes.
Mr. T, we're almost at the end, but ethics, I do have some very fun questions I want us to go through. I don't know if you have some serious questions that you still want to go through before we get to the fun ones.
Yeah, I think mine might be fun. You'll be the judge of it. If you could, Advocate Zanele, if you could have dinner with any 3 people, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh, well, it would be my dad.
Oh,
yeah.
That's so sweet.
It'll be my dad. I mean, he passed away when I was in grade 1. So I think the first time I actually went to dinner, I was like, what? I don't know, 19, 20? No. Oh. Like dinner out, we grew up. You eat at home. There's no one taking you out.
The same experience. Yeah.
Like there's no other way of going out, right? Yeah. And it would be with my dad. I mean, I've been to dinners with my mom, my mother-in-law, my late mother-in-law and father-in-law as well. But then my dad.
That moment.
For him to sit across and be like,
what would you tell him?
Have a meal.
If you had that opportunity now to sit across the table with him and break bread, what would you tell him?
Yeah, I would tell him how tough it was for my mom. But with saying that, how we miss him. Yeah. We've missed him so much. Still do. But grateful for him living. He left into Njambil, to look for greener pastures in Durban. Right. And be grateful for that, because had it not been for him, my mom would have not stayed in Durban and thought, there's actually much more my kids could also do in life, as opposed to in my farm. Not to say that there's something wrong with that, but at those times things were quite difficult. So
agree. Yeah, man. May his spirit rest in peace, man. I'm sure he's watching over you, and I'm sure he's blessing you everywhere. Yeah.
That's it for me, Mr.
I thought you were still continuing. Okay, I have fun questions.
Yes.
But with me, they can also be tricky. So, but first, let's start. What does success mean for you, both professionally and otherwise?
Yeah. Professionally would be like, I don't know. Being content with the work I get. Yeah. I get quite a lot of excitement when I do petroleum matters, I do energy matters, I guess. As I'm a junior, so I still take whatever work that comes my way. But I think success would be along the line, where I can be able to niche myself to a certain topic, which would obviously be energy or renewable energy for that matter. That would be success. And the green hydrogen project being a success as well. And then being able to just support my family, and as much as my husband does as well. Yes. But also my for me, to just if my girls need anything, I can also do it, right? That would really mean a success to me. And then, also then apart from my nucleus, how can I help others? That would be success. And that, how we are, I'm assuming, but I come from where I still need to help at home. So also those situations.
It's a reasonable assumption because that's generally the case.
Exactly. Yeah. But that, which I am doing, but in a much better, sustainable manner. And that would be success. And then and then I guess it ties in back to family. Affording my kids, helping them to develop my girls. And again, going back to your question, like women in law, but just women in general, for them also to, now there's AI, there's so many things. I don't want them to do law, but I would like them to do whatever they want to do with so much confidence, you know, with so much tenacity of like, I can do it no matter what. But that means I need to be strong. So success would be... Yeah.
That's so powerful. You know, I love how your idea of success is not just tied to yourself.
Yeah.
It's tied to everyone around you.
Yeah.
And you speak of AI, which makes me want to ask you, what do you think the future of the legal profession looks like with the introduction of, you know, AI?
Yeah. Exciting and also scary. Exciting and also scary. I think
could I just say before you could, I'm a big proponent of AI.
Yeah,
especially for professional purposes.
Same. I think it makes us quite efficient, very, very efficient. It also allows innovation to come in as much as people might think it might not. It hinders situations. I don't think so. But maybe drawing back to the legal side, there's quite a lot of work that has been written around now also, like, okay, billable hours, because like the work can come out quite easier or faster than it used to before. Or even me, like drafting heads of arguments and saying I spent like 3 days, and then the other part is like, nah, you should have spent 2 hours. You should have spent 2 hours kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I think it's a revolution, right? I think now we're in that technology revolution where things are changing in a very fast pace. Unfortunately, because we are in South Africa, and we still have a huge number of people who don't even have access to the internet, don't even have access to devices that we have, would kind of feel like they're left behind. And I don't think that's the idea that should happen. So, because it's moving too fast. And I don't know how the university is doing it. You know, how are they assessing students at this moment from a legal perspective? But I think it just scares you a little bit because, you know, we sell information, you know, we sell knowledge, and now it's easy accessible. It's just that obviously it still hallucinates quite a lot from the legal perspective, and you've seen the cases that have been out there regarding
artificial intelligence.
Cases that have been, you know, hallucination basically. But I think it's valuable. It's something that everyone should use, because if you're not using it, the next one is using it, and they're going to look much faster and efficient than you are.
It takes it 3 days to draft heads, and it takes them 1 day.
Exactly. So use it, obviously, to your discretion and caution, but it doesn't take away your knowledge of legal analysis, your knowledge of research, those resources. That's something that you...
Can I tell you how I think of AI?
Yes.
I think of it as that book that, you know, civil motion practice in the High Court.
Yes.
I think of it as that book.
Exactly.
As you do your work, you consult that book.
Exactly.
And you rely on that book for knowledge.
Yeah.
So,
or like
you would verify your sources.
Yes.
So it's meant to empower your knowledge and to make your case better.
Yes.
So it helps you to articulate your case much better.
Or like, you know, if you have a very well-established dad who's a senior counsel, and you also did your LLB, and you always get home and you're like, Dad, I have this. How do I do this?
Absolutely.
Dad, okay, how do I redraft this? It's the very same thing. Your dad might be 100% correct, or also could be misled or not correct. So what do? You have to go verify that information.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Like, okay, on a lighter note, as we are about to wrap up, what if you were to be a president of South Africa for 1 day, just 24 hours, what would you change?
Me?
Yeah.
As a joke, right? I'm kidding. I'm kidding. 1 day, I mean, you've heard quite a lot where I talk about energy. I would make things easier for innovators in South Africa to get funding.
Right.
Not easier, but like in America, venture capital, right? Where startups or young people with good ideas and projects in South Africa don't get funding. So I'd make it much easier. There is please don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We have the IDC, we have quite a lot of funding instruments, but it's quite also a
laborious.
Yeah, a lot of work that has to go into trying to secure funding. And what that does is it doesn't enable innovation to come from South Africa or Africa in general. Whereas then we over inundated by other places where they easily got venture capital, and the project is like running, especially now tying it back to AI, right? People have this information, they'll come up with ideas,
but it just doesn't get kick-started.
Yes, and someone who's sitting in the US or somewhere else with easier funding mechanisms, their project propelled, right? So if I was a president, obviously, because I'm a lawyer as well, I'll still need due diligence and everything else. But I'll be more relaxed to saying, okay, how do we fund angel investors, all of that, venture capital? How do we do that for current innovators, which we have quite a lot of in South Africa? So I would look at that. And then the next thing I would look at, again,
you only have 24 hours, remember?
Oh.
So this is like literally in 24
so
hours.
In my 24 hours, I'll be like, everyone gets money if they have a good idea.
I like that. And if you had to choose 3 people in the world to be the world's president, shared position, who would it be and why?
I don't know. That's a very tricky one, isn't it? I don't know. I don't know.
All right. No, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's a tricky one. Then I think I just want to ask you this as a parting shot. If there was a question that I should have asked, that someone watching this episode looks at but is thinking, and I haven't asked, what would it be? And what would your answer be to it?
Ooh, that's also tricky. Hot seat, hey. It would be, I don't know. It'll be, I guess people would be interested, I guess the ones that are currently doing the law, right, would be interested in what is pupillage and what is articles. And can I, straight from varsity, come to the bar, right? Maybe that is another topic that we can talk about, and what are the avenues for them to do that. Maybe that, I don't know what else.
But we can shoot on that on another day, because I think it would require a lot of attention and time. Mr.
But that's Mr. T. What do you have for me?
No, at the moment I don't have anything, but I do want to say thank you for coming today. I think from my corner, I'm happy with all of your answers, and it's been a very insightful session.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
It's been a good episode, I think. And
let's hope it is. This is the first one, right?
The conversation has been good. I think for me, and obviously I hope it is also good for our, viewers and listeners. But I actually just want to ask you one more question.
Okay.
And it's, what is the one thing that you know to be true? And this is a culture we are establishing in the show, that the last question will always be a mystery, right?
Yes.
What is the one thing that you know to be true, but you don't have evidence to it? So you can't prove, and somehow people can't believe, but you know it to be true.
Whoa.
That's a tricky one.
It is, right? I'm the only one who knows that it's true.
Can I tell you what I think? Maybe it will give you an idea.
Yes, maybe.
I think it's the fact that everyone is insane. I think that is true, but you can't necessarily prove that everyone is insane. But if I were to explain, I can't be able to show where I'm coming from. But that's my context. What would be, if any? I mean, if there isn't, it's okay.
Yeah, I think, not that I think people think it's not true, but I share theoretically from Immanuel Kant's, I hope I didn't say in the other K, but he writes about the higher power of humans, like everyone for their intrinsic worth. Like every human being is worth something, right? And I know that there's other philosophy, the greatest good for the greatest number, right? So that's the other side who would say, but at one point we have to think about what would, at this point, right? But I think even that is the case, the greatest good for the greatest number, ultimately, it's still every human for their intrinsic worth. So for me, I think that is true, because how I will treat you and how I will treat Mr. T will be very different, right? But the idea would be, because you're both, for me, from my perspective, you're human beings, and you have values and you have morals and you have aspirations, I should respect that. So by me respecting that and I treat you different, doesn't mean that now if another group of people come with other values and other morals, or even money for that matter, they are the most important people, and I would disregard. But I think, like I said, the greatest good for the greatest number is also, everyone thinks that's okay, but I think everyone has intrinsic worth, and I think my kids have taught me that.
Love that. Love that. Wow, it's been an amazing time. Speaking with you. Thank you so much for availing yourself for this. And I think I've learned so much from this conversation. I'm not a big fan of Immanuel Kant, but we'll talk about it over coffee. But I'll tell you, some of the
yes, for me, I am.
But I only disagree on issues, in terms of how he interprets philosophy of law. And so on. Mr. T, I think it's been good, man. Zanele.
No, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. And like I said, I hope going forward you progress with the other speakers. This is, I guess, setting the tone. And I hope we manage to do that, and for people to be intrigued on what's next and how they can engage on the next topics as well.
100%. Let's call it a day.
Thank you.
You heard it, folks. That was Advocate Zanele Heinermann. What a show, being so impactful. We spoke about so many things that I could actually take some pointers home. I mean, from the distinction between mediation and arbitration, and from how women are actually facing some of the challenges, especially in law in general, but also specifically in the energy sector. I thought those were so meaningful. The importance of work-life balance versus balance at home with family, raising 2 kids while still soaring forward. That is such an inspirational story that related so profoundly with me, and I hope it does with you too. I look forward to the next episode. I don't know who the guest will be, or whether it will just be Mr. Cooper, Mr. T, and the unknown. You can put a question mark to it, but hey, this is the Cooper Show, Law Relatable. Mr. Cooper.